So we need to answer as to what is valuation, what is the purpose of valuation, and let's focus, friends. So number one, what is valuation? Valuation, of course, is to find worth of something, and that is valuation. What is the purpose of valuation? Now please remember, purpose of every valuation that is done anywhere in the world for any kind of company, any kind of product, any kind of industry, the purpose is one single in every valuation, and that purpose is decision making. That purpose is decision making. So please remember, when we are doing valuation, we are not doing an exercise in Excel sheet. When we are doing valuation, what we are doing, we are creating something which is going to help somebody in taking a decision. So that is the purpose of each and every valuation. And how to do valuation? So how to do valuation? Answer, of course, is very simple. Do everything which is required to be done to arrive at the fair value. To arrive at the fair value. Please remember, in each and every valuation exercise that we do anywhere in the world, ultimately what we are trying to arrive at, we are trying to arrive at the fair value. Fair value, because fair value is what we need for taking a decision. So the purpose of every valuation is to take a decision, nothing else, absolutely nothing else. That's all. The purpose is taking a decision, and the types of decisions can be different. So there can be merger, amalgamation, acquisition, takeover, share transfer, new issue, and whatnot, reporting, family settlement, dispute settlement. The end objective can be different, but the basic purpose of every valuation is to take a decision. Now friends, I'm sure you must be wondering as to why I'm highlighting it so much. And the reason as to why I'm highlighting it so much, because once it becomes part of our DNA, once it becomes part of our thinking process, that the valuation that I have to do, what is that I'm trying to do? I'm trying to create something which is going to help my client in taking a decision. Then all our doubts, all our questions, all our queries as to what method should I use, what approach should I use, what discounting rate should I use, should I do it this or should I do that, should I use the DLOM, should I use the DLOC, should I make adjustment for control premium, should I not make adjustment for control premium, all those questions get automatically answered the moment I understand that the valuation that I am doing, the purpose of that valuation is to help somebody in taking a decision. We also need to differentiate, friends, between the means and the ends. And more often than not, we tend to get stuck up with the means and not with the end. We start believing that means are the end, and it is never so. Means are means, ends are ends. So ultimately, whatever means that we use, our driver has to be the end objective. The end has to be in our mind. So what method should I use? Should I use the income approach or the market approach or the asset approach? In the income approach, should I use the capitalization method or should I use the discounting cash flow method? All those questions get automatically answered the moment I am clear that I am doing valuation. For what? I am doing valuation because I have to help my client take a decision. And if I have to help my client take a decision, what is my driver? What is my obligation? What is my duty? What is that I have to do? I have to find out the fair value, and that's it. And if we keep this background in the mind, friends, and I'm sure you will do that, you will realize that doing the valuation in these 6 specific situations which are part of the IBBI syllabus will become a very easy job, and that is what we will do. So relevance of situation specific valuations and how to go about in valuation such cases. So what we have to do, अब ये जो 6 जो केसेस हमारे सामने हैं, अगर हमको ये 6 टाइप के असाइनमेंट्स आते हैं, तो ये 6 टाइप के असाइनमेंट अगर ओके फ्रॉम द एग्जाम पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू ऑल्सो इज द सेम, एंड फॉर द प्रैक्टिकल पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू इज द आंसर इज ऑल्सो सेम. So tomorrow, if you get an assignment of valuation of a stressed asset or if you get an assignment to do a valuation of a cyclical company, or if you have to do the evaluation for the purpose of insurance coverage, then what is that you need to do? What is that got to be your starting point? And the starting point got to be, friends, number one, find out what are the peculiarities of this situation. What are the peculiarities of this situation? So if I have to do the evaluation in case of a stressed situation, what are the peculiarities of stressed situation? So or distressed asset. So what can be the peculiarities of distressed assets? That is where you and I need to apply our mind and think about it to find the answer as to what are the peculiarities in case of a distressed assets. Likewise, if we have to do the evaluation of a specific situation, and that situation is of doing valuation of a startup. So if we have to do this valuation of a startup, again what we need to do? Again we need to think that in case of a startup, what are the peculiarities? What are the peculiarities? Because once I know what are the peculiarities in case of a startup, then for me the process of valuation of a startup becomes very easy. Or in case if I have a situation of doing valuation of a small or medium enterprise, then again when my starting point is going to be as to in case of small and medium enterprise, what are the peculiarities? And I need to list them out as to these are the peculiarities. So that becomes a starting point in case of doing valuations of these 6 cases, these six situations. Then what you do? Then you find out what kind of information is ऑलरेडी अवेलेबल अबाउट दैट सिचुएशन. सीधी सी बात है, अगर आपको और मुझे किसी कंपनी का वैल्यूएशन करना है, किसी एसेट का वैल्यूएशन करना है, तो वो वैल्यूएशन करने के लिए मुझे और आपको इन्फॉर्मेशन की जरूरत पड़ेगी. सो वी बोथ ऑफ अस विल नीड लॉट ऑफ डिटेल्स, लॉट ऑफ इन्फॉर्मेशन, लॉट ऑफ डॉक्यूमेंट्स about that particular business or that particular asset for which we have to do the evaluation. So then you find out this number 2 step that you need to follow in these 6 specific situations. And as a matter of fact, please remember, not only for these 6 specific situations, but every specific situation for which you have to do the evaluation, the second step that you need to worry about is to find out as to what all information are already available about that particular situation. The third step that you need to follow, what all additional information are required for doing the वैल्यूएशन. तो कुछ इन्फॉर्मेशन आपके पास में ऑलरेडी अवेलेबल है, और अब आपको क्या करना है कि आपको वो जो सिचुएशन है वो इंश्योरेंस की कवरेज की हो, वो स्ट्रेस्ड एसेट की हो, वो साइक्लिकल फर्म की हो, या फिर वो इन्वेस्टमेंट एंटिटी की हो, या फिर वो मीडियम और स्मॉल एंटरप्राइज की हो. तो किसी भी वैल्यूएशन की जो सिचुएशन है, आपको ये मालूम करना है कि क्या क्या इन्फॉर्मेशन ऑलरेडी अवेलेबल है और क्या क्या इन्फॉर्मेशन मुझे एडिशनली चाहिए, सो दैट आई एम एबल टू कंप्लीट द वैल्यूएशन. And step number 4 is find out what are the sources from where you can get information, the information. So obviously the one source is going to be the client himself, because the client will always be the repertoire of all the informations about that company. And whatever is not available from him, you will have to find it out from your own sources. After that, what you need to do is find out what is the purpose for which we want to do the evaluation. And please remember, this you will do in any case. तो आप दुनिया में किसी भी कंपनी का अगर आप वैल्यूएशन करने जाएंगे, तो सबसे पहले आपका स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट होगा what is the purpose for which I am going to do the evaluation. That is the starting point in any case. So you will also, in these 6 situations that we are talking about, again you will find out as to what is the purpose for which the evaluation is to be done in case of these 6 situations. And now you will need to think as to, in this given situation, in the background of peculiarities of this case, in the background of information which is available with me, in the background of the information which I am going to gather further, what approach will be the most appropriate in this case? Will the income approach be most appropriate, or the market approach be most appropriate, or the asset approach would be the more appropriate? And please remember, how will you decide that? You will decide that by being aware of your obligation. And what is your obligation, or my obligation, our obligation? Whenever we are doing any evaluation, our obligation that we have to find a fair value. fair value of that company, of that business, or of that asset. Because why I want to find the fair value? Because my client needs to take a decision, and he can take a decision only if I help him with the fair value. And the moment you are clear in your mind that what you need is fair value, then let me tell you, all the queries, doubt, questions कि कौन सी अप्रोच लगाऊं, कौन सा मेथड लगाऊं, वो सारे के सारे आंसर ऑटोमेटिकली आपके दिमाग में क्लियर हो जाएंगे कि भाई ये केस है, ये पर्पस है, ये सिचुएशन है, ये पिक्युलरिटीज़ है, तो ऑब्वियसली इस केस में ये कंपनी बंद होने वाली है, इस कंपनी की रिवाइवल की कोई चांसेस नहीं है, और इसके कंपनी की रिवाइवल में किसी को इंटरेस्ट भी नहीं है, एंड देयरफॉर द प्रमाइस इज गोइंग टू बी द लिक्विडेशन प्रमाइस, एंड देयरफॉर इफ द प्रमाइस इज द लिक्विडेशन प्रमाइस, देन द approach that I have to use for the valuation of this company is the asset approach. And within the asset approach, the method is going to be the liquidation method, and like that. So in case if you have a situation, distressed asset is the company that you have in front of you, तो आपको एक distressed company का valuation करना है. Distressed company का valuation करने के लिए आप अपने आप से पूछेंगे कि क्या इस कंपनी की रिवाइवल की पॉसिबिलिटीज़ है, इस कंपनी की रिवाइवल की पॉसिबिलिटीज़ है, क्या किसी को इस कंपनी के रिवाइवल में इंटरेस्ट है, is somebody already standing for the revival of this company. And this is a fit case as far as the NCLT is concerned. This is the fit case as far as the IBC is concerned. And I am sure some of you must be already insolvency professional. Otherwise also you would be aware that whenever a company's application is admitted by NCLT for the purpose of IBC under section 7, 9 or 10, the first thing the IRP has to do is to appoint two valuers. And what these valuers have to do? These valuers have to do the valuation based on a going concern and based on the liquidation basis. And why they have to do it? Because this company has gone in for NCLT, and the purpose for this company to go to NCLT is to facilitate resolution of the insolvency of this company. And that means you have to look at, in case of this company, with the possibility of this company getting revived. That means you will have to do the valuation using the ongoing as the premise, going concern as the premise. Now within the going concern as immediately you have no doubt about it. Immediately you know that this company has gone for the NCLT. So what approach I have to apply? I have to apply the income approach, and I also have to apply the asset approach, because as per the regulations of IBBI, IRP has to appoint two valuers and get the valuation from the registered valuers, get the valuation of the company as a going concern and also as a liquidation basis. So since you have to do the evaluation as a going concern, income approach you have to apply, and within the income approach you will automatically get the answer whether should I use the income capitalization method or should I use the discounted cash flow method. You can understand that this company has been in distress. This company has been in distress for last 4 or 5 years, and therefore applying the income capitalization method in this case is of no relevance at all. बिकॉज पिछले 4-5 साल से कंपनी लॉस कर रही है, और कंपनी अगर लॉस कर रही है तो उसके इनकम कैपिटलाइजेशन की कोई पॉसिबिलिटी नहीं है, तो आप उसको इमीडिएटली रूल आउट करेंगे. व्हाट इज द ओनली पॉसिबिलिटी दैट यू हैव इज टू यूज द डिस्काउंटेड कैश फ्लो method. And friends, what you have to do is you have to follow first whenever you get an assignment. Number one, of course, I'm sure this will definitely help you to pass the exam of the IBBI in case some of you still would be appearing for it. And okay, all of you would be appearing for it because all of you are appearing for the 50 hours training at this juncture. So for passing this exam will help you, and it will also help you when tomorrow you start getting the असाइनमेंट. सो ये 6 कंपनी जिसकी हम बात कर रहे हैं, 6 टाइप की सिचुएशन जिसके बारे में हम बात कर रहे हैं, उनके वैल्यूएशन करने के लिए मैं वापस एक बार क्विकली सम अप करूंगा. क्या कहाँ से आपका स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट चालू होगा. आपका स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट चालू होगा नंबर 1, व्हाट आर द पेक्युलरिटीज ऑफ दिस सिचुएशन, व्हाट आर द इंफॉर्मेशन ऑलरेडी अवेलेबल, व्हाट आर द इंफॉर्मेशन दैट आई विल नीड टू गैदर, विच आर द सोर्सेज फ्रॉम वेयर आई कैन गेट द इंफॉर्मेशन, what is the purpose for the valuation, what is the premise for the valuation, and what valuation approach should I follow in this case, and depending on the approach that I decide to follow, which will be the best method for doing valuation in case of this particular situation. And this becomes your starting point as far as valuation of any of these situations are concerned. Now, before I start taking all these six situations one by one, and what I would quickly like all of you to recollect in your mind the approaches and the methods available under those approaches quickly. So you have the market approach. Under the market approach, you will have initial investment, a recent round of funding, assuming that you're doing it for a startup. So in case of a startup, the valuation following the market approach, the valuation can be PORI. PORI is price of a recent investment, or it can be PORT. PORT is price of a recent transaction. And remember, it is called as market approach. And why it is called as market approach? It is called as a market approach because the valuation that you are doing is based on the information which is available in the market, or based on the information which is relating to the market of this company. And that is the reason why you would refer this as a market approach. So that is number one. So in case of startup enterprise, you will perhaps do the valuation following PORI. PORI is price of recent investment, or PORT, price of recent transaction. And then you will follow the comparable company method or comparable transaction method. I'm sure this you must have discussed at great length, so I do not have to really elaborate them. Then you will have industry valuation benchmark. So what is the meaning of industry valuation benchmark? The industry valuation benchmark would mean that in case you have to do the valuation of a hospital, maybe per bed becomes the benchmark. In case if you have to do the valuation of a 5-star hotel, valuation per a room becomes the basis. In case you have to do the valuation of a telecom company, valuation per subscriber becomes the basis. That is following the industry valuation benchmark. Under the income approach, of course, you have income approach, income capitalization approach, and you have the discounted cash flow method. And under the cost approach, you will have the book value, which of course is very simple. As the name suggests, book value will simply mean valuation based on the book values which are given in the books, that is in the balance sheet. So whatever is given in the balance sheet, you literally pick them up and do the valuation based on those numbers, and that is your book value method. Then you got a adjusted book value. So in case of adjusted book value, what you do, you pick up the numbers which are given in the balance sheet, but you don't take them as it is. So what you will do, you will adjust them for their real price. So in case land that you are showing in the balance sheet is at 1 crore, which you had bought 20 years back, today that land is worth 25 crore. So when you are trying to find out the adjusted book value, then what you will take as value of this land, you will not take 1 crore, you will take 25 crore, which is the adjusted book value. So this is your adjusted book value method. Then you got a replacement method, and then you of course got a liquidation method. I just thought for you to have this fresh in your mind, because this memory you will be needing as we go forward. So let us now start with the stressed asset valuation. So how we will do valuation of a stressed asset.